the painful reality of Chainsaw Man. As its whole tone, it's very different than a lot of standard shonens. You know, you can have a very normal feeling shonen and still be very, very fun. You know, there's a lot that I really like. I definitely love more shonens than I dislike them. So Chainsaw Man, though, being so much different than their normals, it gives it a little bit of extra advantage over some series, but I still love it regardless. I love how unpredictable and crazy it is. And in a lot of shonens, it's regular for, not a lot of protagonists to die. Usually it's like whenever one dies, it's out of nowhere. It's very unpredictable. It's, gonna have a lot of impact. But Chainsaw Man, with it, the deaths are more of the setup that you don't know who's safe. Outside of, I'd say, the main cast, it looks like anybody could just die at any point. You got Denji, Power, Makima, and Aki. Outside of that, I can see any of them dying in literally any chapter. Hopefully not Beam, though. If Beam dies, I'll be really sad. But, as it were, Fujimoto, with him, I kind of wish other mangaka would do this. Not we'll kill everybody every 5 seconds. I like the idea, though, if it's you have a character who you don't really have plans for, it's just you're just there, and he's I'm never going to use this character. You might as well do something to kind of, kill him off, or in some way to kind of, build up some hype, maybe some other characters, or, make it a very dark and serious kind of, situation. But you had, all these assassins are now coming after Denji. You have the 3 brothers, who, it seems they think they're immortal. You have the one chick, the one lesbian chick who's got 4 fiend girls in her harem. You got that one, I think he's Russian guy who's I can't really do anything about him other than I think he's Russian, because we didn't get any craziness of his chapter other than it seems like he has no emotional, he's got no morality, he's got no hesitation, he's got nothing that makes him kind of being he would have any problem killing another person. It's, so far that's kind of what it seems for him. He's got absolutely no humanity side to him for that. And then you've got Santa Claus, who it's gonna be interesting seeing that guy show up, because he's the biggest one of these assassins. He seems very dangerous. He's probably got multiple contracts, from the way it seems like he's got a lot of different methods of getting it, sacrificing others instead of himself. And the little hinted thing that he might be a pedophile, that I can't wait to see Denji just maul that dude. It's gonna add pedophile killer to Denji's list of achievements, which would be great. I did actually kind of scratch my chin out of when I saw one of the comments in my last review of someone who was talking about instead of Santa Claus, he's the Krampus, which the Krampus goes around stealing bad children on I don't remember, it's German, I think, so which would make sense because the Santa Claus dude is German. And I don't remember what the Germans originally called Christmas, whatever their version is. You can look it up if you don't want to know more about that. But as it were, the 3 brothers are the ones that I'm interested in the most, and I really want to see what these guys are capable of, because they're very weird, the whole thing that they think they're immortal. I like that they're probably gonna have some really good just kind of camaraderie between them as big 3 brothers. And what exactly is the reason that they think they're immortal? Is it just coincidence? Do they all have powers? Are they hybrids? Are they fiends? Is it just maybe one of them is actually real? I had this theory that, well, maybe one of them is a fiend and the other 2 are not even real. They're just kind of maybe clones they could spawn. Maybe if somebody can make duplicates and they're just kind of crazy, all the same person, just in different bodies. I don't know. The chapter starts out, you got Denji and Power. They're just hanging out, looking at some ducks. I thought it was funny when Denji's just I could eat those. And, yeah, you could eat ducks, but I don't imagine people would be really too happy if you just swim out in the middle of a park lake and just go and attack some ducks. And Power being Power, she's if I was president, I'd allow it. And I think Power's not president. You go around just killing ducks, doing nothing. And you got these 3 new characters that are gonna be aiding and watching over Denji, now that Denji is a target. This dude, they're saying how this guy Hamaoki, one dude, this dude Usakabe, you got this guy Yoshida, and I don't think any of them are gonna last long. I just have this feeling every time they change something, unless the character spawns up instantly with some crazy kind of little trait, like the violence fiend. he's a character that I'm like, I want to see more of. Like, he's got like a really weird power. He's got a cool design, the whole plague mask, but it's also poisoning him to kind of weaken him. He's got like seeming like a very all in, and if that fails, kind of like cheese it kind of personality, and just like kick rocks and get out of there. He's like a character that I'm like, man, I'm hoping he sticks around. He's got like a little bit of a tone that maybe he'll be used later, kind of like the Angel Devil or Beam. But as we're these characters talking, Denji's upset because the dude smacks his food on the ground, and Denji picks it up, and I'm like, dude, you got a couple second rule. I mean, but I don't know if that applies to being outside in like public areas where animals poop and people walk around with gross feet. In your own house, I can see, but I don't know about in public. Meanwhile, Denji doesn't really waste food, and I think anybody who knows his backstory can like, yeah, I can get why Denji wouldn't want to waste food. Even with dirt on it, he's perfectly okay with eating it. Coming from a life where he used to be like, sweet, I got a loaf of bread to ration for the next week and a half. It's just like, I'm sure a rice ball, or I don't know what that. I know like onigiri. I think that's the one that Power was eating. I don't know what the full like kelp wrapped triangle. I don't know if it's just the same thing or what. Anyway, you have all these guys like talking. They're just kind of introducing themselves. The first dude, Kusakabe, he seems very uptight, and so you have this kind of like seemingly kind of like very by the books like desk guy, and with Denji, who's very lax, doesn't seem to care, and the guy's just like, listen, you got to refer to me as yes sir, and Denji's like, whatever, man, I don't care. Which was pretty funny. And I was bummed about this though, because like I said, like a lot of characters end up dying in Chainsaw Man. I was sad when Himeno died, and now like these characters, I was like with Himeno, we got like I think a lot of people got attached to her very quickly. She had a cool power. She had this nice little story, and the way that it seemed like she was going to be the whole ship with Aki and whatnot. And then you have this Tendo and Kurose, who their designs weren't like stand out, but I like that they had like the same scar on their face, and I was like, maybe we're gonna get some story of maybe why they operate as a duo. Maybe they're hit by the same attack, and they got the scar from the same move, and maybe it's kind of like a bonding thing that kept between them or something. Just like some nice little story. And then they're driving, and then the spike strips thrown out, and the three brothers just rush the car after that, shoot them all up, take them out, and I was bummed about that. I was interested to see where these characters go. But as it is in Chainsaw Man, you don't last long if you're not in the main cast, or if you're at least maybe a stand-up kind of guy, and then something like the Violence Fiend. Outside of that, now you got the three brothers that looks like the youngest one and really had any experience killing. This is like his first kills, which then again, it's like I'm wondering what their whole like shtick was before this, because they seem to be assassins, they're hitmen. So, like, what did the other brother do before then? Well, maybe he wasn't, like, a killer guy. Maybe he was, like, their recon or intelligence person. Don't know. And then one of them ends up using seemingly his ability. He turns into one of the two. I think it's Tendo. I think Tendo was the dude and Kurose was the chick. I'd have to go back and look. Unfortunately, I didn't get attached to him enough. We didn't find out enough about him that I'm like, I know them as a pair. I didn't know them individually yet because we never really got anything of them outside of, like, their base. Like, hey, we exist as characters. We have names at least. But one of the brothers, he takes over his body, well, or at least his form rather. He takes over his form, and it seems like he's got his memories too, and he knows things about him. So it looks like that's going to be his power. Maybe some foreign, just a spy kind of guy that we're going to. I was like trying to figure out a better way to get him. Like, let's just go spy. I mean, fuck it. But as it is, I'm wondering how this is really going to go, because out of the four mercenary groups, the three brothers are the ones I'm most interested in. In terms of fighting capabilities, I'd say Santa Claus, just because he's the one that typed up to be the really powerful one. But the three brothers, I think that they're the most interesting, and just like their base layout, because one of them, they have this weird kind of like mentality that they're immortal. Maybe find out more about that. But also, I just like the idea, these three brother assassins, and they're gonna probably, it seems like they got good personality and good synergy between them, which will be really cool, making them feel, even though they're enemies, will be, maybe can relate to them from, a guy like me who has brothers. But I'm just like imagining like the standard of, what can happen. They're going to go try and do their thing. Like from the Fujimoto thing, it's like, well, what is he going to do to make it weirder? Like, could you imagine if it's like two of the brothers die. One of them is never found out. The one that turned into,
you know, I think it's Tendo. I have to go back and look again. But like maybe he turns into him. He's like, I'm gonna do my like strategy in order to, you know, get revenge. And it's like way later in the story, and he just forget like. Maybe he's like, oh, you know what? I kind of just want to live this life. You know, this guy's got a good life. And he just kind of stays like him. And you just forget throughout the story. It's like, that's not actually him. That's a dude from way earlier in the story that turned into him or something. And just because you got to keep in mind the weirdness of Fujimoto and what he might pull. But most of the chapter was set up, which is still fine. Like, then we're going into a crazy arc. We got a lot of crazy characters on their way. These ones seem the most kind of down-to-earth, normal versions. I mean, you got like a crazy eye patch lesbian assassin with her 4 monster chick like concubines. You got this weird like emotionless, I think he's Russian, killer from the like just the frosts of the wasteland and the forest. And then you have creepy old man super assassin pedo. So lots of weird characters coming up. Anyway, other than that, comment below. Tell me your thoughts about the chapter. I'm sad they went. I really wanted to see at least a little bit about Kurosa Nintendo, but wasn't in the cards, it wasn't in the stars, and it wasn't in Fujimoto's plans. Regardless of which, I'd appreciate if you comment below, thumbs up the video, from the like button, subscribe button, and check out my other videos. But not appreciate everybody's already subscribed, and thank you all for listening. Bye.